Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at a fundamental shift in the tech landscape today, and honestly, this goes entirely beyond basic chatbots. We are entering a completely new era of work, and Google has just pulled back the curtain on exactly how they're making this transition a reality for businesses across the globe. Today, we're going to unpack their precise blueprint, look at some of the really fascinating internal data driving this, and reveal what the future of enterprise operations actually looks like. So let's get right to it.
Okay, let's dive into this by listening to who is actually ringing the alarm bell here. Sundar Pichai, right as he was celebrating his 22nd Googleversary, stated that the pace of technological change is faster than he has ever seen. I mean, think about the gravity of that for a second. This is a leader who had a front row seat to the explosion of the web, the complete takeover of mobile computing, and the genesis of modern AI. And even with all that historical context, he explicitly states that this current pace of change is unprecedented. When someone who's been navigating tech for over 2 decades at one of the world's most innovative companies says the ground is shifting faster than ever, well, we need to pay very close attention.
And hey, if the words don't convince you, the math absolutely will. Back in 2022, Google was investing a respectable $31 billion in capital expenditures. Now, consider the projection for this year. We are looking at an estimated average of $180 billion. That's a nearly 6-fold increase in total capex in just a 4-year span. What that incredibly steep jump represents is pure conviction. Tech giants do not make a leap like this in infrastructure and compute investments unless the stakes are existential. Over half of their machine learning compute in 2026 is projected to go toward the cloud business alone. This isn't just a side experiment, this is literally the new foundation of their entire business model.
So, to understand where all that money is actually going, we need to clearly define what phase of technology we're entering. We are officially moving past standard AI and into what's being called the Agentic era. I really want you to internalize this definition. In the past, AI was a tool you used, right? You asked it a question, it gave you an answer, and you went and did the work. But in the Agentic era, AI is a fully autonomous digital task force. You aren't just getting answers anymore, you're orchestrating agents to independently execute, monitor, and accomplish incredibly complex goals. You're moving from being an operator of a machine to being a manager of a digital workforce.
Now, you might be wondering if this actually works in a high-stakes enterprise environment. That brings us to a really fascinating philosophy that Google employs, known as acting as customer zero. Before they bring a platform like this to the public, they rigorously test these agentic workflows on their own internal teams. They rewire their own work with AI first. They do this to prove the tech actually functions under the immense pressure of their daily global operations. That way, they ensure that when they finally partner with other enterprises, the technology is already battle-tested. So let's see what happens when they unleash these agents on themselves. When Google tests this internally, the numbers are just striking. 75%. That is the percentage of all new code at Google today that is generated by AI and then subsequently approved by human engineers. Just let that sink in. We're talking about one of the most prestigious, talent-dense software engineering organizations on the planet. And just last fall, that number was at 50%. In a matter of months, it surged to nearly 3/4 of all their new code. It perfectly captures the massive acceleration taking place. Engineers are no longer writing every single line from scratch. Instead, they're shifting to orchestrating the AI, reviewing its output, and approving it. The human is definitely still in the loop, but the heavy lifting is being handled at hyperspeed.
So how do they actually achieve that 75% metric? Well, they do it by breaking down tasks into specific autonomous roles. Recently, Google had to execute a particularly complex code migration, which is something that traditionally takes a painfully long time to get right. But instead of a room full of human developers grinding it out, they created a system of agents with distinct personas. They had planners outlining the strategy, orchestrators managing the flow of tasks, and coders doing the actual writing. By firing off these specialized digital task forces, working in tandem with human engineers, they completed this migration 6 times faster than they could have just a year ago.
And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact across an entire enterprise. It relentlessly contrasts the slow, manual past with the lightning-fast agentic present, and not just in engineering, but literally everywhere. Take marketing, for instance. Historically, adapting a campaign for every audience and country took weeks. But for a recent launch, they used models to generate thousands of variations of creative assets instantly. The result? A 70% faster turnaround and a 20% increase in conversion through massive personalization. Or consider security. Google's teams receive tens of thousands of unstructured threat reports every single month. That's a task that would normally take humans thousands of hours to parse. But with Security Operations Center agents automatically triaging and filtering the noise, threat mitigation time dropped by over 90%. They are fundamentally getting to market faster, operating way more effectively, and staying on the front foot.
But here is where the narrative shifts a bit, and where we hit what is often called the messy middle of the innovation cycle. We've proven that the agents work, right? And that they create massive value. But the conflict isn't about capability anymore. It's about governance. The conversation is completely gone from can we build an agent to how do we manage thousands of them? When your marketing team, your security team, and your development team are all firing off autonomous bots every single day, how do you possibly manage that chaos? How do you ensure security? How do you prevent these agents from running amok or accessing data they absolutely shouldn't? This is the exact headache keeping enterprise leaders awake at night right now.
So the absolutely crucial point is how an organization solves that exact problem. Google's ultimate resolution to this chaos is the Gemini Enterprise Agent Platform. They're pitching this as the literal mission control for the agentic enterprise. It's designed to be the secure, full-stack connective tissue for a business. It's not just about building agents with confidence, it's about scaling them across operations seamlessly, governing them securely, and optimizing their performance. It basically takes the wild, messy frontier of thousands of independent bots and brings them under one unified, manageable, and secure corporate umbrella.
What's truly profound about this platform is the organizational shift it enables. Sundar Pichai noted that with Gemini Enterprise acting as the front door to Agentic AI, every employee in every organization can become a builder. Think about what that actually means for your workplace. The power of creation, the ability to spin up a specialized digital assistant or an entire automated workflow, well, it's no longer locked away behind the IT department or limited strictly to software engineers. The tools are being democratized so that the marketing manager, the HR specialist, and the financial analyst can all build their own custom agents to solve their specific daily bottlenecks.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Are you ready to manage your own agentic workforce? Because the reality is, the technology is already here. Google is already doing it internally with incredible results, and now the platforms exist for any enterprise to do the exact same thing. The future of work is not just about learning how to use a new software tool. It's a massive shift in mindset. You need to start looking at your daily workflow and asking yourself, which parts of my job am I going to delegate to my digital planners, orchestrators, and coders? The agentic era has arrived, and it's time to figure out how you're going to lead your new digital team. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating topic today, and keep learning.